Hi, Wes Schaefer, the Sales Whisperer here. Today I just wanted to go over the history and my thinking behind the name The Sales Whisperer. As you may or may not know, there's a very popular show on right now called The Dog Whisperer. Very similar to the Horse Whisperer, very similar to the Ghost Whisperer. But if you ever watch this guy, Cesar Millan, he's on, I think, the Discovery Channel, I don't even remember, maybe National Geographic, but anyway, what he does, when I ask people if they've seen the show, they nod their head, and I say, what does he do? And quite often they'll say, he trains dogs. Then I look at them kind of inquisitively, and then they think about it, and they say, no, he trains the owners. He trains the owners on how to act right, how to be what he calls a pack leader. When the owners act as they should, their animals do as well. Now, I'm not calling humans, nor am I calling prospects animals, but I'm just trying to draw an analogy for you. What I do for salespeople is basically what Cesar Millan, the Dog Whisperer, does for owners of dogs. I help salespeople act appropriately, act as the leaders that they are. Then the prospects will act accordingly. Now, by that I mean the prospects will engage us, and they will tell the truth, even if the truth is no, they're not interested or don't have a need in what you're selling. So, there's an old joke out there. How do you know when a prospect is lying? His lips are moving. Well, prospects say that about us. How do you know when a salesperson is lying? Her lips are moving. It doesn't have to be that way. When you have a solution that brings value to the prospect, you are welcomed with open arms. Now, the interesting thing is, prospects do not lie to people that they trust, nor do they lie to people when they are asked appropriate, pertinent, relative questions. All right? I've studied basically all of the big trainers out there. One that comes to mind, I reference quite often in my training, is spin selling. Okay, you've got to get beyond the situational questions and more into the impact type questions. All right? Salespeople, sales professionals that understand the pain and the issues and the processes of their prospect's environment ask those type of deeper, more impactful questions that elicit thoughtful responses. Because believe it or not, the best response you want from your prospect is, that's a great question. Wow, never really thought of that. Give me a minute. I'm going to have to think that one over. Because all of us are engaged, our minds are running 1,000,000 miles an hour. We have phones ringing, we have PDAs buzzing, we have social networking sites we've got to update, we've got emails coming in, we've got spouses and loved ones we got to catch up with, pick up groceries, wash the dog, coach Little League, and oh, by the way, get our job done on time, under budget, with fewer people. How do we get it all done? So our prospects they're humans. They want to ease their pain, and they want to increase their pleasure and do it affordably. So what do you bring to the table as a salesperson that warrants not only an interruption in their day, but will cause the prospect to give you their undivided attention and to ask and answer questions truthfully? So the whole key, the fundamental principles behind the Sales Whisperer and my selling system, my inner circle, is to help you, the salesperson, become comfortable asking tough questions. Believe it or not, one of the things that I really harp on is the fact that our job is to be almost a counselor. Our job is to make the prospect uncomfortable, if you will, and be comfortable ourselves being around prospects that are uncomfortable. Now, what I mean by uncomfortable is if our prospect has some issues in their manufacturing process, in their Q&A, in their sales cycles, that have deep, lasting ramifications if they're not corrected, we need to bring that to their attention. Now, if they knew the ramifications and their exposure and their liability, they would be jumping on those issues right now. But all of us, no matter what we're selling, bring value, and we address quite often issues that the prospect doesn't even know they have. That's when professional salespeople separate themselves from the pack, is helping the prospect go 2 and 3 and 4 layers deep and saying, what if this isn't corrected? You know, one of the things I work on with sales managers is what happens if you don't recruit good salespeople? Well, then you have to take more time training them. What happens when you're spending time training? Well, it costs time and money to train them, and when they're in training, they're not out prospecting and qualifying and selling more. So what happens when they're not out prospecting and selling more? Well, revenues are down. Sales cycles are extended. We have to discount more in competitive situations. How does that impact the company? Well, it's obvious. Revenue goes down, layoffs have to happen. So it goes full circle. You've got to be willing and able to take your prospect full circle as to the real impact that your solution has on their bottom line. So I cover several principles. On my website, you can download the 7 Deadly Sins of Selling. I call it Salespeople Behaving Badly. Selling is a profession. And just like any profession, lawyers, teaching, doctors, architects, those that stay at the top of their game are those that are continuously learning and seeking to improve themselves. Otherwise, you're just like everybody else. But as we're seeing now in this economy, the amateurs, those that are not dedicated to constant improvement, are having to find new careers. Now, in one regard, that's not good. Those that are impacted, it causes a lot of stress, I understand. But those that are committed and dedicated will and are being rewarded right now. Okay, because tough times like this are what reward the prepared. And just like old Zig Ziglar says, you know, motivation may not last, but neither does bathing. That's why I recommend you do it every day. So the same thing with training. It's amazing how motivated my clients and my students are when they know how to handle any sales and prospecting and negotiation situation. When you know how to handle what cards are being dealt you, the sky's the limit. It's easy to get out of bed with a spring in your step when you know there's nothing you can't handle that day. However, just like becoming a skilled architect or doctor or attorney, it takes time. If I could make you the top performing salesperson in the entire universe with the flip of a switch, you couldn't afford that magic pill. So the good news is the training I offer is affordable. The bad news is it's a continuing process. So I'm committed to stick with you as long as it takes until you get to the level that you feel like you cannot improve anymore. So my question for you is, are you committed to stick through the training and the coaching and the role playing and the feedback sessions and the reports to get to that level? So I hope so. Either way, I thank you for watching this video, and I hope to speak with you soon in the Sales Whisperers Inner Circle. Take care, good selling, and remember, life is good, it's gooder when you're selling.